Welcome back to the Danish Tales, a series about the fictional history of the Danes, a history that we are writing in the game called Crusader Kings 3. Last time in the Danish Tales, Jarl Bagsecg was left victorious against the Slavic leader Mistivoj. Around the same time, Halfdan and Ivar conquered multiple lands in England. By the end, Bagsecg was left with a big threat looming just south of his realm, East Francia. So after spending days and months thinking as to how he could avoid the threat of the Germans, he received news from his spy master. Apparently some of his spies in East Francia heard rumors about their king planning an invasion of Julin in the near future. And as the Scandinavian Ragnarsson, Sigurd and Bjorn were busy with expanding the Swedish control out east, Bagsecg was left alone to defend his land. And so he decided to make his strike on England before the Germans could attack him. On the 12th of August 873, Jarl Bagsecg along with a few smaller Danish tribes amounted to about 3,000 men, and they set sail yet again to the infamous England. Bagsecg first landed on the shores of Jorvik, Jarl Halfdan's realm, and he convinced Halfdan to join his invasion of Mercia. On 13th October, Bagsecg with his 3,000 men and Halfdan with his 5,000 men began their march down south. Bagsecg decided to go by their infamous longboats while Halfdan marched on land. Bagsecg arrived at Warwick, the capital of Mercia, on the 4th of November and started sieging it. While they were sieging Warwick, they got the news that Jarl Halfdan's army managed to slaughter the small Mercian army, which consisted of less than 3,000 men. And then after, the Danes continued to siege Mercian cities until King Burgred surrendered the war and handed the realm to Jarl Bagsecg. Mercia was now under the control of the Danish king, Bagsecg. Bagsecg then soon conquered the neighbouring counties to expand his borders to meet that of the last English kingdom, Wessex. And so on 17th of March 875, Jarl Bagsecg renamed Mercia to Daneheim, which meant House of the Danes. This victory and conquest of the English land solidified Bagsecg's legacy as one of the greatest Danish kings, right after the infamous Ragnarssons. His tales would be sung and spoken of for the coming decade. Before news about Bagsecg's conquest could reach Scandinavia, another Norse ruler had his eyes set on Mercia, Jarl Hroðgar. It is believed that he left for Mercia with near 2,000 men and arrived on the shores of Sudreyar in East Anglia. Upon coming to England, he got the news that Mercia was no longer Mercia but rather Daneheim and under the rule of the Julander Bagsecg. And so he sent a letter to Bagsecg requesting to meet. They both met at the border of Daneheim and Sudreyar. In the meeting, apart from the generic celebration of overall Norse victory over Christians in their own land, Hroðgar mentioned that he came to England with the hope of conquest, especially the kingdom of Mercia, which now belonged to Bagsecg. Apparently things went wild during the meet with a lot of heated exchange of words, where Hroðgar challenged Bagsecg to a one-on-one battle to decide the true ruler of Daneheim. If Bagsecg was to win, he would keep Daneheim, receive his weight in gold from Hroðgar as compensation, and Hroðgar would leave England for good. But if Hroðgar would win, he would take Daneheim from Bagsecg, rename it to Norreger, and Bagsecg would leave England and go back to Julin. And so on, the 19th of June 875, a one-on-one Jarl versus Jarl fight took place. Bagsecg was a very strong warrior, even for his small size, but he was getting old and a little slow with his age. Meanwhile, Hroðgar was quite old but very nimble for his age. When the fight started, both warriors were handed an axe and a shield. Hroðgar decided to replace the shield with a second axe, thus arming himself with 2 axes, whereas Bagsecg replaced both of his weapons with a heavy hammer. The hammer belonged to Jarl Halfdan, which was lent to Bagsecg for the fight. All the great Norse and Danish warriors, Jarls and Earls from England and even Scandinavia came to watch the fight, which took place in Ulfarsund in Daneheim. With heated back and forth, Hroðgar managed to cut Bagsecg's left eye open, which gave him the nickname One-Eyed. Bagsecg managed to break Hroðgar's right hand, disarming him. Finally, he landed a calculated yet heavy blow to Hroðgar's head to knock him out and win the fight. With the fight won, Bagsecg yet again cemented his rule as one of the greatest Danish warrior and king, and so Hroðgar returned back to his land in Norwegian Scandinavia. Bagsecg spent the next couple of years improving his economical state by striking trade routes with the fellow Danes in England and back in Scandinavia, leading constant raids on the Irish tribes, Wessex, and the Welsh kingdoms to the west. While this was happening in England, King Ludwig of East Francia died, leaving the realm in a succession crisis, with the kingdom being separated again and divided between the three sons of Ludwig, which meant that they were at risk of being invaded by the Norse. Jarl Halfdan seized the opportunity and declared war on East Francia for the East Francian county of Lubeck. Bagsecg decided to honor their alliance by sending his 2,500 men along with Halfdan's 3,000 men. While his army left England with Halfdan, Bagsecg stayed back to continue governing and improving his realm. On 29th of November 879, the massive army of Jorvik and Daneheim, commanded by Jarl Halfdan himself, reached the capital of East Francia, from where they started sieging and burning each city before reaching Lichtenberg on 30th January 880, where a fierce battle took place which would decide the fate of East Francia. While the battle was going on, back in Daneheim, Bagsecg was challenged with a huge decision. As Bagsecg spent the last 4 years improving his realm, he even made attempts to convert the native Christian population into Asatru, which gave a slow but steady rise to a Christian uprising, which finally sent their ultimatum on the 28th of September 882. The populace demanded either complete independence to almost all of the counties of the realm or that Bagsecg baptizes and converts to Christianity. With the fear of not being able to defend himself from the thousands of Christians or even give up most of his realm, Bagsecg decided to convert to Christianity. And so on the same day, in front of thousands of Christians and Danes alike, Bagsecg was baptized by Bishop Elfweard, and Daneheim was renamed back to Mercia, after which most of the Danes left Mercia, some migrated to Jorvik, while some went to Sudreyar. And so Bagsecg became the first Danish king to convert to Christianity, maybe not by faith but by fear. On 26 January 884, Halfdan returned victorious from his war against East Francia, along with Bagsecg's mostly injured men. On that day, Halfdan was greeted by Christian Bagsecg, which led to Bagsecg's downfall in the Norse and Danish world, losing fame and most of his trade deals and alliances. But Halfdan stayed aligned to Bagsecg under the condition that Bagsecg would never declare war on Jorvik, or even join any war against Jorvik. But this wasn't the end of Danish rule in Mercia, as Freirik, Bagsecg's son and heir to the throne, didn't convert to Christianity and was still Asatru, which meant that Mercia had a chance of becoming Daneheim again.